Okay, so first thing I want to do is pick up an item over here I noticed when I was off camera. I meant to actually pick it up at the beginning of the last episode, but I kind of forgot about that. I'm pretty sure this was its location. You have to get all the way up here, which is a little bit tricky. How did I actually do it when I succeeded? Maybe I was at a different station. Let me just look at the map. I know it was one in the City of Tears. I'm pretty sure I'm at the correct one. In fact, that's even why there's that little gap up there to tell you, hey, there's something above you. Even if it is difficult to reach. How did I do it? I think... well, jumped up. Then that. No, that doesn't quite work. Does it get easier if I summon the stag? I can't really bounce off of him, can I? No. Somehow I managed to do this, and now I'm trying to refigure out how. I think I do remember, though. It was, bouncing off at just the right angle. There we go. I forgot that I can do the jump again. And then bouncing over here until I get to this little alcove. As I figured, it's just a hollowness seal. I'm guessing that given how well hidden this one is, and how well hidden these items are in general, that they're not necessary for 100% completion. It seems like the kind of thing that wouldn't be, you know? So the next thing I want to do is return to the stag nest because someone in the comments, you know who you are. I would have said your name, but I forgot, sorry. Pointed out one, potentially two things I missed in the stag nest. The first is that they thought there was some fragile ground I could break through earlier on. Looking at the time code, I'm not sure I agree, but I might as well try it out. The time code pointed to when I crossed here, so I assume they're referring to this elevator. I'm pretty sure it just depresses because it's inactive, it's not working, the mechanisms aren't, you know, they're broken down in disrepair, but let's try it. Oh, right, I need soul to do that, don't I? Yeah, this is what I missed, the fact that the ghost appears after you walk away, and only just at the very edge of your screen, which is why I missed it. See what they have to say. Ah, I see you bear my blessing. I can't remember giving it, but my memory has been a little lacking of late. Isn't it just so peaceful here? Such a perfect place to rest. Indeed, and now you shall be resting for good. So, it's one essence. Just from what I've looked up on the Steam discussion page, there is quite a lot of excess essence in this game. You only ever need to get 2400 to complete the Seer stuff, and that's for 100% completion as well. So you don't actually need to get every last scrap, which is good. It means you can in fact leave those, you know, wandering souls around. But yeah, I'm assuming I should be able to interact with this now, since there was a specific sort of rebounding effect when I tried to strike this thing over here. Let me just heal up first. That was the wrong button. But it did what I thought. I'm in a dream. Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that this is probably an optional secret boss. Perhaps even a super boss? Probably should have re-equipped the fragile strength charm. I might actually go and do that depending on how well this attempt goes. Hello there, sir. You get a scythe. A scythe made from the claw of a larger insect, it looks like. That's a cool design. Oh, nope. Hi there. Oh, 2 damage per hit. That's the first time I've seen an enemy do that with a ranged attack. No boss intro though, so you're not actually a boss? Not just yet. Maybe this is just the quick sparring match before the actual fight. Or they're not... Oh, you were just a regular enemy. I was, you know, thinking with your cool design and all that you'd be something more significant. But apparently not. That said, you are a knight. You were clearly guarding something. Perhaps you were guarding a boss? Let's see what's inside. Ooh, White Palace. I was not expecting this. There seems to be an entire area in here. An area Whoa! So can I not actually kill these things? No. Oh, that's because they're platforms. Neat. An area that I assume won't have Cornifer in it. If he can enter dreams, then I'm gonna eat my insect hat. Alright, might as well rest here. Interesting. Yeah, definitely going to re-equip Fragile Strength. I wonder if I die here if it won't count towards breaking that like the other dreams have. I would assume so. I would assume that would be consistent, but previous dreams were just, you know, one-offs, like a single small area with a boss. Whereas this seems to be its own proper location. An area that probably would be difficult if not impossible to do without all the movement upgrades. Yeah, look, it's even big enough that there even seems to be a shortcut of sorts here. This is really cool. I wonder if I tried to head into the Temple of the Black Egg, if my progress would have been barred by something, and I would have needed to have found and discovered this place. Because I was thinking this was probably optional, but now I'm getting the idea that it's probably mandatory. Oh, look at those soul moth things flying in the background. That was beautiful looking. This area has a real austere beauty to it. Very simple, but very gorgeous. And yep, so this is going to be a regular enemy type in this area. Well, so far I'm only fighting one, so I'm not too worried, especially since I can kind of pretty easily spam it to death with magic, although I should probably save up my soul for a more dangerous situation. I'm assuming there aren't going to be secrets in this area, that it's just going to be like a straight gauntlet of platforming and enemies. So I'm not looking too hard. Guess I need to use the crystal heart here. Yep. Wait. I guess that was exactly what I needed to do. Nice. Yeah, this is really a platforming challenge. Your platforming final boss. Hey kids, do you know what the magic word today is? It's technical problems. Yay! For like the third time in this LP, I've run into some serious technical issues, although this one at least is mostly my fault. Much like falling into that gaping void there was my fault. So I forgot to turn down the recording settings I was using after recording Dead Cells, a much less performance intensive game, and that resulted in a video file on my recording hard drive that was a little bit messed up. Not in totality. There are bits of it that are fine. In fact, amusingly enough, most of the bits that are fine are places where I backtracked to. The bits that ended up being a little bit corrupted were the new areas. So, for the White Palace, the Hive, and the Abyss, my runs through will be second runs. I'm still commentating while live, but you know, I've been through the area once before, so I know what to expect. As it is, my blind footage was just kind of unusable. It was quite stuttery, a slideshow at certain points, the audio was desynced and glitchy, and it was just pretty much completely unwatchable by any reasonable standards. So I decided to scrap it, and I'll be inserting these second going segments in between the bits of footage that were fine. So, the White Palace. I think the last thing I ended up saying before the footage got too screwed up was that it seems like it's a platforming boss. A test of all your platforming skills as opposed to your combat skills, and that is very much the case. In my blind run-through, I actually described this in a number of instances as being quite like I Want to Be the Guy. And that is a pretty apt description, because much like I Want to Be the Guy, you need absolute precision with your platforming here. If you don't move just right, you are going to get hit, and you're going to return to the last checkpoint that you were at, which is what just happened there. But if you are precise, you can make it through without getting hit. It's pretty much just the definition of trial and error gameplay. Just doing things until you get really good at it. I was thinking my memory of this wasn't so bad, but I guess it is since I am making quite a few dumb mistakes here. But I'm remembering it better and better as I go along. I'll be happy if I can just manage to avoid dying like I did so much in my first attempt. It ended up taking me like an hour to get through this area. That's just how rough it is. Bingo. And yeah, there's this little overhang out here which sure does look pretty. There's not actually anything there though. You know, I just had a thought. One thing that would have made my first attempt so much easier, giving me a lot more leeway, in something that I did now, is changing my charm load. I never thought to do that despite specifically having charms that boost my health. Which in this case basically give me more chances to screw up. But instead, no, I decided to go with my usual charm loadout completely unaltered. Which is mostly useless since most of it is combat based. So yeah, I equipped the charms that give me 2 more pips of regular health. No, 1 more pip of regular health as well as 2 pips of armored health. So that way if I end up touching spikes or any of the obstacles, I have 1 more chance to try again. So hopefully that will make it so that I can get through without too much issue. I've also come in here with quite a bit of soul, which means I can heal a little bit as well. But yeah, if you've played I Wanna Be the Guy, I think you can see why I've compared this game to that. It's a lot more tame than that, but it retains a lot of the same spirit. Which had me quite a bit annoyed because I do not play Hollow Knight for precision platforming. I play Hollow Knight for the cool combat, the cool aesthetics, which, hey, this area does have pretty cool aesthetics at least. The Metroidvania stuff, the exploration, and most of that is completely absent from here, because it's just a straight shot gauntlet. And the platforming, which, while fine, is not the draw of the game, is greatly emphasized. Whoops. Forgot that that saw blade came along like that. Oh, I'm gonna get hit again. See, I feel like this area focuses on the bits of gameplay in which Hollow Knight is either the weakest, or, you know, if not bad, then just not why you're playing it for. That, plus just the general difficulty of this area, had me referring to it with the word bullshit quite a lot. To the point that I actually had the idea, before I realized the footage was mostly unsalvageable, to have a counter with the word bullshit that would pop up and ding every time I said the word. But with the blind footage as screwed up as it is, I kind of had to just throw that idea away. I'm sure I'll play some game in the future blindly. I can do something with that. This area is pretty neat. It's kind of like an inverse of the previous vertical one. And there we go. That's the first bullshit platforming segment finished. And the switch flipped. But if you thought that was the end, then ho ho! You must think the developers are way more lenient than they actually are, as did I when I first went through. At least they let you return and rest at the bench, which in this case restores my armor pips. Where did I need to go next, though? I think it was over to the left? That's an exit. Yeah, it's this pathway over here, I'm pretty sure. This is the second platforming challenge, and it's a little bit more difficult than the first. At least I had more trouble with it on my blind run. We'll see if that's the case here. Yeah, that one obviously caught me because if you don't speed through, you are going to get hit by that saw blade, which you really cannot avoid. Here you pretty much just have to alternate sides to avoid getting hit. It's not so bad. What was this one like? Oh yeah, that one you can actually just drop straight down and avoid taking any damage if you're precise enough. Like so. But yeah, this place basically expects you to have a mastery of all the movement mechanics in the game. Exactly how far your air dash goes, how far your double jump goes, your regular jump. The fact that when you jump off of a wall, your dashes and double jumps are restored. It expects you to make use of pretty much everything. Although within that, it does offer a little bit of freedom. Because in numerous places, there are actual multiple pathways you can end up taking to circumvent a challenge. And depending on what aspects of the platforming you're best at, you can end up picking and choosing which one is best for you, and that's nice. So in that way, the Metroidvania open exploration elements do come in a little bit, just not as much as they should given that they're the focus of the game. Like, this area to me just feels like at least one of the developers was a huge fan of I Wanna Be the Guy or similar Masocore games, and wanted to do an homage of that within Hollow Knight, regardless of how well it actually fit in with the rest of the experience. And the result is as you see. This one I think you just have to go through like really quickly, otherwise you're gonna get crushed by the saw blades. Or chopped rather. They're slicing, they don't really do crushing. Let me just wait once more. Oh, kinda screwed up with my jumps there, that's fine. I have soul to heal with, so I'm not overly worried, although maybe I should be. Overconfidence is the key to failure after all. How does that one Darkest Dungeon quote go that mentions overconfidence? You'd think I'd be able to remember it considering how memorable Wayne June's delivery is, but nope. There we go, got it that time. This bit seems incredibly difficult until you realize you have just enough room to stand in between where the saw blades come up. So as long as you time things right, you'll be fine. This segment, however, is especially tricky. You can try and, bounce on that middle saw blade there if you need more time, but that in itself is difficult since your position vertically is constantly shifting. I think I made this in one on my first attempt, but that was pretty much pure luck, is the thing. And of course, it sends you all the way back here. I do have plenty of attempts though, so I should, knock on wood, be fine. I don't want to be too positive though, otherwise I'll jinx myself. There we go, that's how I did it in one. And then to be safe for this last one, I just like to super dash through. There's no bullshit tricks on the other side to kill you, thankfully. Like, I don't know about you, but don't saw blades in this sort of advanced machinery also seem kind of out of place with Hollow Knight's overall aesthetic? I feel like it's a little bit discordant with the rest of the game. Like, there is technology, but not as modern as the saw blades look, Oh yeah, and here's a place where you have divergent pathways. You can head up dealing with the saw blades, or head down and skip all of that. I think this is the other way that this ends up leading out. You can also kill these dudes for a little bit of essence, should you need it. But if you think I'm at the end, then no, there's plenty more where that came from. I've unlocked the next elevator, and what else do you think would await but more bullshit platforming? That's the name of the game with this area. I want to be the Hollow Knight. Another complaint I had when I went through initially is the fact that how far you pan your camera doesn't actually come in useful here. You do have a bit more zoomed out camera, but like you see how limited I can actually point it up and down, and that's true throughout. And I really found it useful in telling what platforming challenges were ahead, which resulted in a very I wanna be the guy mentality of having to die to something in order to know what it's about to avoid it in the future. Which again works perfectly for I Wanna Be the Guy, that's the type of game it is. but it works less well for something like Hollow Knight. At least they give you a little bit of a rest here, a quicker checkpoint. I think this is the last platforming segment, but it's by far the longest, and I think the one I had the most trouble with. Which, I guess is appropriate enough, given it's the last one. Whoops, wasn't quite quick enough there. Hold on. I just need to time things better, like so. Yeah, that's what I mean. Even though I've gone through it before, I kind of have to just die to it again in order to properly relearn what I need to do. Did I head down or up here? I think up is the direction you have to head in. And here, you just gotta be quick. I guess you might be able to make... No, you can't really go up from there because you can't actually bounce off of the vines like you do other things. It just makes a squishy goo noise. Let's see what was next. More saw blades floating in the air. I mean, I guess my complaint earlier was that the level of tech here is clearly way more advanced than anything else, and I get that that's partially because it's a dream. It's not supposed to be realistic, but I still feel like it violates a lot of the visual design that the rest of the game has gone for. It just feels like something out of another game entirely. I wonder if perhaps, if not something that just one of the developers really wanted to put in their game, if this was maybe a Kickstarter stretch goal for some like super hard area. Or maybe it was just something that they thought fit in but didn't really, you know, design it the best. I am curious though to hear what anyone watching this thinks. Do you think this area fits in with the rest of the game? I mean, in a way, it does add a little bit of variety. This sort of very difficult platforming gauntlet is something that isn't really seen in the rest of the game. But I feel that this is something that would have been better had it not been in the game at all, just because it's so discordant with everything else the game seems to want to do. But yeah, tell me what you think just from, you know, watching it. Oh, here we actually have to make use of the crystal heart. One nice detail is that you can actually use these little raised projections on the side, the hollowness sigils, to tell where exactly you want to start, which is a nice little bit of visual design. Let's see... Oh. That was close. Oh right, for a second there I didn't recognize this place. That's because I just completely skipped it. Like so. Why go through the saw blades when you can go under or around? Of course, if you mistime your advances, you're still gonna eat shit. That's just the name of the game. I want to be the Hollow Knight. Yeah, just something about these alternating patterns of movement that always screws with my spatial positioning. There's a little bit actually coming up right here that is even more true with that. I don't think I had too much trouble with this bit before. Maybe, was that what I did, or did I do something else? I'm pretty sure I went under, and I don't remember having all that much trouble. Let me just think of ways I could possibly circumvent this. Oh, right. That's how I did it. So yeah, as far as screwing with my spatial positioning goes, this one is really tricky. In part because you have to stand a certain distance away and dash at the right time, otherwise you simply don't have enough time to make it. I think this is how far I need to stand away. Maybe a bit closer. Like so. If you position yourself just right, I tried to reposition myself there, which screwed me. You'll make it through just fine. And for this last bit, I just elect to Crystal Heart across. A little bit easier that way. But if you thought that was the end, then oh boy. Clearly you've not learned what utter dicks the game designers can be. Then we have a second one where if you don't pause to take a break, you're probably gonna get hurt by. I got hurt by it anyway because I'm pretty bad at this. Despite loving this sort of style of gameplay, it's not something I'm especially good at. I loved I Want to Be the Guy. I actually spent the time to actually beat the game, of all things, on the, you know, the normal difficulty, not the easy one. And I've even played through, and I think even beaten a few I Want to Be the Guy fan games. What was that main one that came out? That was one of the early ones before, like, the whole deluge of I Want to Be the Guy fan games. I think it was just called I Want to Be the Fan Game. I remember it being a pretty good sequel. Pretty similar in spirit, but it riffed on a lot of other different retro video game things and had a lot more unique gimmicks, which was what was cool about it. Oh yeah, speaking about being dickish with the Crystal Heart, that's an example. You don't know that Thorn is coming, you don't know to stop in advance, you're gonna eat damage. Can I get soul from these guys? I can, and since they respawn, I can farm soul. I never thought to do that on my first run through, although I don't think it would have actually helped me. Oh, and that actually does count as killing them for the bestiary entries. I'm gonna have to go back and do that on my main file, I think, if I want to complete that. I don't know if I need to 100% the bestiary for completion, I probably do. This is actually a pretty good spot to do it because there's one that's just conveniently right here. Just gonna make sure I'm maxed out on health. I could farm it a little bit more, but that would get boring. There we go. One full charge. I just want to make sure that I don't return to the bench. Oh yeah, and here's another moment where you need to position yourself just right. And then I think I want to stop myself, or... okay, I didn't need to, but it still helped. I'm pretty sure I'm near the end now. I specifically remember this being close to the end. Being especially difficult because of this bit right here. You gotta time it perfectly. Otherwise, you're gonna get speared. Shit, I think I might be a bit too low, which means I'm gonna get hit. Oh, I could've actually kept going. I should have trusted in myself more. That's fine. See what I mean? If you do one thing just wrong, you're gonna get speared. I just need to trust in my initial judgments more in a lot of cases. It's because I end up second guessing myself that I end up taking damage. That was just an error in positioning on my part. Yeah, I'm glad I equipped those extra bits of armor and health. They are coming in really handy here. Probably wouldn't have helped too much on my first run through, since basically this place was a crash course of sorts for me really learning how to platform in this game. Since, you know, I had done a little bit of it before, but not to the serious degree that this place requires. It requires absolute mastery, and I did not have that at the time. I'd still say I don't quite have it now, but I'm closer to there. I nearly made it there, but I didn't time that quite right. I forgot to stop. Here we go. I should be fine this time. And then you bounce off of that one, restore your double jump, and we're at the end at this point. It's pretty much the victory lap. Just 2 crystal dashes, and you're good to go. I was a little bit apprehensive when first going through this bit if I would have to suddenly stop at any point, but no. This is just the end. You can just continue on and you'll be fine. And he is where the music suddenly stops, and you see the corpses of many of these white knights. That's how you know you're at the end of the area. And then they give you a whole bunch of soul, clearly preparing you for a boss fight. After all, what lies ahead must be difficult indeed if there are all these dead knights around. No cost too great. Yeah, despite it seeming like a total setup for a really difficult boss fight, nope. As I said, it is a victory lap. And you acquire the white fragment. Then the dream ends. I should have tried sitting there. I just noticed that interaction just now, but I was already focused on what I wanted to do. Soul of Worm, Soul of Root, Heart of Void. And yep, that's one bullshit platforming segment done. Hopefully the last. None of the other places I'll be redoing have bullshit platforming like that, and I hope the final area of this game, whatever it is, doesn't as well. But yeah, that was a pretty novel segment. Again, I'm not sure if I would call it good, and I think it would be better if it wasn't in the game at all, or at least massively redesigned. But it's there and it adds a little bit of gameplay variety, so at the end of the day, I'm mostly neutral on it.